Alright, we're back for the 5th E tier of challenge tiers. I forgot how the alphabet worked for a second there. And it's a lot of GT cars. We got Cam back in again in an Audi R8 LMS. Miyako Katsumi returns in a BMW Z4 GT3. Riley is back in a Corvette C7R. Eric is now in a Ferrari 488. Wayne Hansen returns in a Lamborghini Huracan. New debut, one of drivers from Thrasher's group. It's Diedrich, I think? Hammer. Different from Dedrick Schwartz. That's why it's spelled differently. He is driving a Mercedes AMG GT3. Hikari is in a Nissan GTR. Travis, Tier B champion, is in a Porsche 911 RSR. Ryan Wolf has entered in a McLaren 650S. Taylor is back in a Lamborghini Huracan as well. John Garrison returns now that Corvettes are back in the picture. James Stillwell also in a Nissan GTR. Nitori has returned after a very long absence. I don't think she's been in since Tier A. And she's also in a Lamborghini Huracan. Yoshiro is in a Ferrari 458. And finally, Thrasher is here in a Mercedes SLS. This will be the first one Isabella will miss. And I think that's probably the main, well, actually, Dedrick's not here either. He took his championship and ran, I guess. We have a lengthy championship here. 20 races. Though these races should be mildly shorter than the previous ones because these are GT3 cars, not GT4. The racing should also be much closer, more evenly packed, but it'll also be more rare to see overtakes because of how, the cars are more evenly balanced. So in this episode we'll begin with more or less like a reorder of the last episode's racetracks: Silverstone, Classic Silverstone, Zandvoort, and Laguna Seca. And kind of an overview of the tracks beyond that point, using a different layout of the Highland circuit. The drift circuit is a length somewhere in between the normal and long version, so that'll be a 4-lap race. The other track that's kind of debuting in this championship, we have the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And we also have the full Classic Monza circuit, which includes the banked oval. So that'll be interesting to watch, but let's begin with modern Silverstone. Foggy morning, or cloudy morning, not foggy, I'm dumb. At Silverstone, I have James on pole position. Right alongside that is Nitori, who I'm sure has probably got a bit of rust to shake off after missing 3 consecutive tiers. Now I know the typical pecking order of the GT cars in this championship, like which ones are better than which. However, I'm not going to get into that until, those things are put on display. I forgot I can just do that. The only problem with doing that is, my car would still be sitting there, so let's not. And they just about have a wreck off the start. And Ryan Wolf got absolutely deposited downwards. James will hold the lead out of the first sector. And Travis and Riley are too wide. Riley locks up a bunch, and still probably won't even get the pass made for her troubles. You know, she's gonna hit the curb here. Further down the grid, we have two Lamborghinis on the inside of two other cars as we reach a corner that I really don't enjoy being too wide for myself, so the AI don't either. All looking very processional right now. Though that's kind of how S's are supposed to work, so probably a good thing. I think now more than ever, how much the starting grid gods favor you is going to go a long way in determining the results of this championship. Though obviously, you still have to be a good driver to stay up front if you start there. And it's not impossible, albeit unlikely, for a driver to get to the front of the field if they start in the back. It's also possible for a driver to have a very bad start and go down, as Riley is displaying, trying to fight pretty much to the death over 5th place. Taylor's defending the last points position from her fellow Huracan driver. Just about 2 by 2 as they hit the back, one of the back straightaways. There's only 2 back straightaways on Silverstone. John Garrison does not lock up and therefore takes the position. And if she were having to move away from her conventional Maserati selection, or just, you know, general luxury Italian vehicles to get into a Ferrari for this championship, Travis is all out of whack there. As is this kind of midfield pack. Wayne is out of the race, and I think I have a guess as to how that happened. Oh, I'm wrong. Dives Taylor. Just accelerates much too early, and then bounces off Diedrich Hammer. And then mental blue screen of death. And Tori couldn't be any much closer and still decides to do nothing. The longer this persists, yep, Riley's pretty much back with this lead group already in the course of 1 lap. It's surprising to me that she's the fastest one on the track. She was, well, at one point, wasn't part of any kind of, you know, group of cars, so she was uninhibited. Now she is, because she's caught up to the lead 4. Travis kind of missed that corner there. So now his line for the next one is off, but nothing doing because these AI just don't feel like passing. I feel like I'm going to be... I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot in the next 2 races. The road's over there, Miyako. Yeah, we'll quickly find the AI and GT3 cars really don't pass each other very often, unfortunately. But GT3 cars are really in a class of their own in many respects, so it's really hard to put them into a tier with different vehicles. You pretty much have to clump all of these cars into one group because they're way slower than other cars, but way faster than, you know, road cars. They're slower than other race cars, but way faster than other road cars. So it's really like, you know, it's kind of a well crap moment as Travis has overtaken Nitori, which is probably the first overtake we've had in probably an entire lap or so at this point. And I was going for a pass on James into turn 1, which isn't really the best idea. Nitori wants it back. It'll be a hard grab in this set of corners, though. Considering, you know, it goes from the right to the left, so... And now she almost left herself vulnerable to losing third to Yoshiro. Though, of course, nothing doing. Third is very weird right now. I did just eat a significant quantity of popcorn, so that's probably not really helping my throat all that much, especially if I'm going to have to talk for the next hour pretty much straight. I think the 458's got better handling than the Huracan, but the Huracan just has a better power band. Not even so much more power, just better able to use the power it possesses. Or optimized, I guess. It's getting very indecisive. Travis just kind of like peaks, but doesn't really do anything else. And Diedrich has been hit a few times, that's for sure. That's pretty obvious, really. I don't know who. I guess it might have been when Wayne took himself out of the race. He bounced off him and somehow did that much damage. Now it's all getting real close, as Yoshiro's finally going to make a pass on Nitori. But now Nitori's going to have an advantage down the straightaway due to having a better exit out of that turn. Meanwhile at the front, Travis and James are going to go too wide. Nitori will take third back, and that opens the door for Riley to follow. Will this produce anything? No. Same with Travis, who ended up finding himself in the gravel on the outside. He couldn't make it stick all the way through. And I think that basically means that the win will go to James. Because that's probably like 3 or 8/10 of a second between the two, and that's a lot to make up in like a handful of corners. Especially when there's only one real good passing zone left. In anything other than a Formula 1 car, you don't really pass out of that last chicane, unless you take it around the outside, but the AI aren't going to do that. Riley and Yoshiro are fighting again. Looks like Yoshiro got the better exit, but Riley is going to stay on the inside for the final, well, for Stowe, it's not the final corner. Second, basically like third from last corner. And Riley's going to take it. Travis with no offering against James into the final chicane means that James Stillwell is going to win the first race of Tier E in a Nissan GTR. Nissan. Diedrich, despite noticeable body damage, will take the last point. And now we will hit up the classic Silverstone layout. Starting grid for the classic Silverstone race, and it seems like for the bottom half it's pretty much a reverse grid from the last race's finishing results. As considering this game does, this track, kind of like classic Monza, does a weird grid setup where it's like 2x3x2x3x2 by 3 or something like that. Yeah, it's our top 3 from the last race are the bottom grid, or the bottom row, basically. With the exception of Travis, who starts in 6th. So he's looking pretty set to be the points leader at the end of this race. Though weird things have happened, and this track isn't exactly conventional by any means. It certainly helps Travis's case. He gets the best start and gets himself possibly up to 3rd, and before we even exit turn 1, he's already back up to 3rd, so Mittori definitely lost the back row battle. Shiro is already up 2, so she's put herself in points now. Looking to take more from Cam. Easy. As of now, the leader is Hikari, once again leading for Nissan, followed by Taylor and then by Travis. Travis has already seemed to have run into someone. Riley is going to take herself up into the points positions, I assume. Tara's missed the corner, but she is definitely putting some pressure on Hikari up there. Eric will overtake Diedrich going on to this straightaway. I would say the back straight or the front straight, but honestly, there's just a bunch of straights. It feels like a NASCAR racetrack more than anything else. And Thrasher is next on Yoshiro's hit list. Ferrari having better acceleration due to being lighter. I think up there I see Diedrich and Eric still arguing. Thrasher somehow managed to defend that on the outside lane. Diedrich could not take it back. Travis almost got a lane beneath Taylor. Now Taylor's going to try for a lane beneath Hikari. She's just gonna send it in there like a stamp, and well, there it is. There you have it. Travis will follow her through, and now it's up to Taylor to keep him behind her. May be difficult because I honestly believe the RSR Porsche might be the best one in the category. The second best being the Corvette, third best being the Huracan, and then everybody else kind of being, well, there. And the worst vehicle in this category I typically think would be the Nismo, but it hasn't had too many problems. It won the last race, and Hikari is still hanging on, well, to a top 5 at the moment. Eric has just passed him for the podium. Okay, never mind. Apparently Hikari has lost his focus after being passed, and just like, what is happening? What does the Corvettes don't really look like they're the second best ones in the category? Now John's gonna pass Hikari on the... Just ridiculous. Hammer is the fastest one on track. Again, he's just barely removed from that lead 3. Run, Taylor, run. Run, Taylor, run. That's a wall, Travis. You're too eager there. Almost 170 down that last straightaway. I think the AMG might be the strongest in a straight line, but its weight means it doesn't turn as well. And now Hikari has been overtaken by Wayne. Riley is the fastest car on track. Apparently Oshiro... Oh, she must have hit the inside wall. As she's been passed by Riley and by Ryan Wolf. He's managed to claw his way back to where he started the race, despite a terrible launch off the green light. I expected Tori would have gotten somewhere by now, but she is not advanced at all, and she's gonna finish probably dead last, so that's not a great look. I think to a certain extent aero damage does exist on these cars, so having a bit of that red body damage is going to actually affect Travis in his bid to take the lead. I love how the way that Dietrich's name is spelled differently, so it just says Die. And then when I look through the replay cameras to find him, I have to look for Ham, so it's Die Ham. That's when upset averted. Taylor is going to win at Classic Silverstone. Travis will once again come in second, but that should make him pretty comfortable. Riley made a huge recovery drive. She got herself to 7th after starting literally dead last. He's already got 7 points in it. Having two good results early on having a couple early on good results can really get you far ahead in the point standings. And then it's all about just riding the wave. However, this wave is is across the very big ocean, because this is 20 races that he has to maintain that for. So if he is just going to have the early momentum and then just kind of falter like Dedrick did in the last championship, he's got to not really have any weak races right now. Of Zandvoort, a track that is notoriously difficult to pass at, Dietrich is on pole, Nidiri also in the front row once again. So, in my mind, she looks set to certainly at least compensate for the last race she had. Taylor will get a chance to score some points over Travis, as Travis does not start in the top 10, Taylor does. Also, Thrasher is the only driver so far to score no points in 2 races, and he starts, well, just in the range where he can do so. So the tentative start on this game. Dietrich has just enough horsepower to stay ahead of this track, but not if Nituri does that into 1. Then it's debatable. Yeah, he's on the curb. That's an uh-oh. For him, anyway. Oh, and they collide. Just don't really know if that's who's really to blame for that collision, but Nituri is still gonna hold it there despite hitting a lot of the curb. Better handling versus outside lane, and the better lane is the one that comes out on top, so Nituri will have to wait. Travis has already passed Thrasher, and so has Riley, so clearly the SLS that Thrasher chose isn't working out too well. At least not so far. It is the oldest car in the championship, being from 2011. Same with the Z4, and, well, we see how that one's doing as well, so yeah. The only vehicle really breaking that trend would be the 458 GT2. Though it's not doing so much better in this race, but it has been a threat in both the other 2 races. At least to a certain degree. This cam just about body slams Thrasher. And Hammer is about to check out of this hotel. Look at the top speed comparison. He'll hit probably like 155. They hit the same top speed, probably because the Lambo's got better acceleration. And like barely, just like moderately better handling, not by. Taylor stands to gain a couple points over Travis, but who's to say if Travis is the only problem right now? It's too early in the championship for me to make definitive calls as to who will be the points leader, because it's way too easy to shuffle around with one good result for a driver. The 15 points for winning could be the difference between sitting 12th in the standings and sitting like 4th. And considering Dietrich has been a pretty quiet competitor so far, it's hard to say if he's got more than, 8-9 points. I don't think he does, but I don't know for sure that he doesn't. One way or the other, Nituri definitely needs to get a move on, because there's a couple of concerned individuals behind her. Now let's see how the top speed of these 2 cars compare. Mine with a bit of slipstream. Not favorably enough for Eric to pass. probably where I should be putting in mentions of other characters' backgrounds. It's just a matter that I don't really necessarily remember which ones I've covered. I know it was like Gina, Shoji, and Hikari. I think I went over Travis and Eric. To Eric, other than that, he's very laid back and very conservative driver most of the time. And that he's the son of Alex Wojciechowski, who's, you know, a major player in Time Loop and Universe Zero previously. These drivers have all been made aware, mostly through Alex's own mouth, of what all took place during that. But most of those drivers have since kind of retired for the most part, so you won't be seeing them around much anytime soon, so I predict. That's a lot of fire. I really can't describe any of these top two characters because Dietrich's not my driver. He's part of Thrasher's group who just kind of joined in with Thrasher. Well, there's a wiki page for Nitori Kawashiro, so just look that up and tell you a lot more in detail than what I could tell you. Garrison's also not my driver. There's not really much to James Stillwell, so there's not really much to cover here, and not to mention we're also running short on this event's run time. It's only about 2 minutes worth of racing to go. Well, Taylor's a real person. I already covered Hikari. There's not a ton to Wayne. Pretty sure I've already gone over Travis. Riley would be an interesting one for the future, as would Yoshiro. Or not Yoshiro, Miyako. I thought I heard another car. Yeah, Ryan is gonna send it on James, because I'm just kind of talking about random... I'm just talking about whatever at this point, because this race has been a very typical Zandvoort event, as in there's not really anything happening. If you look on the map down there, there's no one even trying to pass each other. You can't even put a driver that's not one of my characters. He's not... I mean, he's not native to the Challenge Series, but Challenge Series is kind of an open sign-up affair, and... You know, a friend of a friend is our friend kind of, you know, policy as far as, you know... If you know a guy and claim that they know what they're doing with a race car, then screw it. I mean, within reason. Obviously, if you've got like 13, 14 people, and we got 6 people at the door, we're gonna try and take the Challenge Series guy first, so... But that's never really happened, because this game doesn't exactly accommodate all drivers. There's plenty of people in the Challenge Series that won't even get a mention in this series because they have no car. They have no applicable vehicle that they can use, or will be willing to use. Like, for example, there's a guy that hangs around the lower Classics division, drives a Plymouth Cuda. There's nothing Dodge or Mopar anywhere in this game. The only American cars are these 2 Corvettes, this one in the road version, Ford GT40, Ford Mustang, and a Ford Escort, and a Shelby Cobra. There's really not much to accommodate somebody that wants to drive a Dodge, or Plymouth, or Chrysler. So... he doesn't really have anywhere to go, anything he's familiar with, so he just doesn't show up to this. Likewise, there's a driver that really loves her Jaguars. Well, there's no Jaguar in this game either. There's plenty of Lotuses, I guess, if that's what you really want to... if you really have to drive a British car, there's Lotus, and there's McLaren. There's not much else to be had. Same thing for our Aston Martin driver, again. And they kind of like a bit of weight to their cars. None of the available British vehicles have any weight to them. The Lotuses don't weigh very much. And McLarens don't really either. They weigh more than Lotus, to be fair, but not by much. Yeah, so the World of Challenge series has got like 55 characters, but you only see about 25 of them here because, well, there's only so many cars in this game. And not all of them can be put into a race either. There's like 15 different Ferraris, but we've only got one guy that drives Ferraris all the time, and that's Eric. Yoshiro is settling because they'd rather drive an Alfa Romeo or a Maserati, and they can't do that because there are no competitive ones in this category. I mean, if they really wanted to drive a Maserati Gran Turismo or an Alfa 155 DTM, then knock yourself out, but you're not going to win the race or even finish anywhere higher than 15th unless somebody crashes, so yeah, good luck with that. You may as well just suck it up and drive a 458. Anyway, ranting over, it's on to back to Laguna Seca. It seems like we were just here. Oh wait, you know, we kind of were for Laguna Seca, and well, I'm sure I'm gonna be a fan of this one. Starting 13th. There goes. He's gonna probably go this entire episode with no points. As for the major title contenders, we got Travis and Dietrich up here. It doesn't really help that they both are German. And thank God Dietrich is a Mercedes guy, not a Volkswagen Porsche guy, because that would be really confusing to me, probably. And, yeah, Nitori is dead last again. He's consistently inconsistent today, as it were. So there you go. The timing on that was absolutely perfect. And your car ain't going nowhere off the start. Apparently Thrash, on the other hand, he's up 3 spots on his way to, well, a singular point right now. He's got to keep Cam behind him, and I guess putting him in the sand trap is certainly one way to manage that. Oh, and Cam is just getting body right now. Okay. Oh, that was something. I mean, I can't really have much sympathy for somebody that drives an Audi, so. And Garrison and Travis are on another level right now. Deficit between Travis. At least Garrison has some challenge. If Travis didn't start up here, he'd probably be about 5 seconds ahead right now. I would like to think that Dietrich can at least take this podium away from James, considering how the other Nissan drivers started this event, and considering the fact that the Nissan is, I think, the worst car in the category. That's what I thought anyway, but no, these older cars aren't doing too much. Cam was hit a second time. I remember having that much damage on the back. Oh, yeah, he was at the corkscrew. I'm dumb. I literally watched that happen and then forgot. If she really took an entrance to that corner, she's gonna dive him from there. Nani? Oh god, it's now 7 seconds between 2nd and 3rd. Oh my good lord. Oh. We got another procession here. You know, not to mention, we don't really know too much about James, so it's really hard to give any kind of detailed explanation for him because we just simply do not know. This guy does have a story though. Gotta find my big huge list of things. Need a manila folder for this crap, I swear. It's so much to keep track of on this list. Golly, it just scared the crap out of me. I wasn't looking at the screen. You know, Ryan Wolf has kind of a troubled past. He used to be a Formula 3 driver and was competing for that championship before a huge crash left him in a very crippled condition to proceed. His legs were broken in numerous places. His left arm was broken for a month and he had a huge concussion from the crash. Though he still fared better than the guy he tangled with, because the person he crashed into, also his teammate, died on impact. Now he was consumed by grief for a long time and decided to never participate in professional racing again. But yet here he is in the Challenge Series nearly 10 years later, finally breaking out of his funk. And Cooley hasn't totally lost it yet either, despite it literally being like 8, 9, 10 years of doing no kind of professional driving. And this is a really not engaging event. I mean, drivers are close to each other, yeah, but like they're not trying to do anything about it. They're just kind of sitting there waiting for the moment that never freaking comes, because it's not like they're just gonna let you pass. Oh my god. I can't even fathom what the difference between... It's not a very big one, but it's definitely the great James Stillwell train of 2020 going here. 18 seconds. Man, thank God Travis is here to at least keep Garrison from falling asleep at the wheel. I mean, Tori still didn't go anywhere from where she started. I mean, she almost did, but then she ran into Cam and just about took both of them out of the race, so... You know how that goes. And, well, he didn't really dominate this race. Garrison wins, Travis second, but those two both dominated just about everybody else on the racetrack, so you know, it's really hard to say they didn't dominate something. I think Dietrich was definitely close enough to try a desperation move into the last corner, but he just kind of didn't. James shall take third, and that, honestly, believe it or not, keeps him almost relevant in the points battle because he has scored himself at least 25 points. He's at 31. He's only 7 off the lead, despite the fact that he clearly should not be up there. Travis is the points leader after the first episode, tie for second between Garrison and Dietrich. Thrasher has put up a singular point on the board. Looking at kind of a bit of a slog fest here for this championship. The longevity of it kind of seems to be the main, or if, at this point really only selling point left for it. So that's, you know, that's something. Pretty sure the real GT championships, like Blancpain or GT Open, or probably World Challenge, aren't even this long. I'm pretty sure there aren't more than 10, so there you go. And I guess we're going off of singular use real tracks. It's like, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks. And then there's just like 7 that are other variations of tracks, or just don't really exist at all, like Highlands and Black Cat County. Yeah, so there you go. There's episode 1 of Tier E. EA Sports. It's in the game.